Phone off.
Okay, people, we're recording now, and Wendy, who's with me today, is turning her phone off. Good tip.
Oh, just as well, because it's pinging at me.
There you go. So this morning, lovely people, I am talking to the lovely Wendy, who is a bit flustered this morning, all over the place, but she's going to talk to us about what she does. So Wendy, just tell us about you and your business.
Good morning, everybody. And firstly, a very big thank you for inviting me in to have a live discussion with you on Zoom. My business is all focused around virtual events online and particularly virtual summits. So my whole business is geared towards helping SMEs and entrepreneurs bring their own virtual summits together so they can really leverage the internet. And for those of you that aren't sure or you haven't heard about what a virtual summit is before, it's basically a gathering of experts that come together to talk around a specific topic. So it's a bit like having a conference day. The only difference is it's held in the virtual space, it's held online. It's brilliant for the individual who's hosting it because they get to get that extra leverage in terms of branding and recognition, and they also get to build their buyers list as well. So that's the main focus of the business.
That is, well, it sounds brilliant to me because I talk. So I love that idea. When you try to get, because a lot of us are relatively new business entrepreneurs or seniorpreneurs or whatever preneur you happen to be, how easy is it though to get those experts together?
It can, to be honest, to be quite a challenge, but I think what often happens is people get the idea of doing a summit and then the golden mistake that people often make is they just rush off and try and get as many speakers as possible. Yeah. Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone, to be fair. And that's why there are people like me out there to keep you really focused on what it is you're trying to achieve. So before finding your speakers, you've really got to think about what it is your summit is going to be focused on. And the more niche your summit is, the more on brand it is for you, the easier it is going to be to find your speakers because there will be an alignment.
Oh, right.
So you'll be able to sell the idea to them a lot easier because it fits into their market.
That's interesting because myself and a few people are organising a local TEDx in Dorset where I am, and it sounds like it's the same principle because we've got to set our theme and decide exactly how that works before we even invite speakers. So same principle. I'm doing it right.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely. Think of it like a magazine. You go into the shop and you've got. I always seem to randomly pick knitting magazines. I have no idea.
Do you knit?
No, never knitted. Knitting magazine, a magazine on cookery and a magazine on gardening. You wouldn't expect to be necessarily a strong cross promotion in those three magazines. They sit individually within their own right, and virtual summits are very much like that. You need to think of them as a magazine which is full of content that is in relation to that topic, because otherwise you just won't draw in A, the speakers or B, the audience.
Right, so there's your tip if you're thinking about doing summits, but I would advise you all people to go talk to Wendy first. Don't just dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, it's very easy to get carried away when you're bringing a summit together because you've got a lot of big personalities to deal with. And what can sometimes happen for the host is they get lost in that experience. And then their own positioning and their own branding gets swallowed up by some of the bigger personalities. So you've got to have a really solid foundation. And it's like anything in business, you work backwards. So you figure out what it is you want to pitch off the back of it. And then everything from the summit comes back from that. And that's a very difficult thing to do if you haven't hosted a virtual summit before.
Yeah, it's not something I'm going to try anytime soon. I'll do my TEDx thing.
Watch this space.
Yeah. So you have, and I have looked at your website, and everybody, you need to look at the website. You'll get details later. You really know what you're doing. So how easy do you find it telling people what you do?
Really easy. yeah, I've never had a problem. I think that because virtual summits, because people are always like, oh, what's a virtual summit? I haven't heard of that. What is it? Because it's a relatively new term, and there's hardly anyone doing it in the UK. It still very much piques people's interest when you say, I do virtual summits. They're just like, well, what's that? So for me, it's easy, but for other people who do things that could be perceived as being quite similar to other people, I could see that it'd be a real challenge.
Yeah, you seem to have found a sort of very focused niche, if you like, in the UK. So when you're talking about that one thing.
Yeah.
And it's like I always say to the people I coach, when you're talking, get a message. You can't tell everybody everything all the time. You have to get your message clear. So remember that tip. You see, you're doing well today. How did you find it then, the very, very first time? I think we're going back a bit now because you've been doing this a while.
Yeah.
So how did you find it the first time you were asked to speak? And was that online or offline?
I don't know if you know. Do you know my story about speaking?
I do.
Yeah.
Do any of you?
Yeah. Let me share a little story with you. Just little. I'm a very nervous speaker, believe it or not. I'm not, online's fine. From the stage, it absolutely terrifies me. But when you're in business, people are always going, challenge yourself. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. And you're like, okay. I've got to bite the bullet and do it anyway, fight the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so I went to Toastmasters originally.
Yeah, I'm a Toastmaster, yeah.
I love Toastmasters. Yeah. Toastmasters, for me, is an absolutely brilliant place to start with professional speaking.
Absolutely.
I learnt the craft there in terms of how to bring something together. And I think it's something ridiculous, like £64 a year.
Oh, yeah, no, I tell everybody, go to a local Toastmaster. I still go, even though I coach, because I still learn.
Yeah. Yeah, so I went to Toastmasters and I was still a very nervous speaker, still didn't enjoy it, went there for about a year and a half. Then I thought, I better up my game now. So I went to the Professional Speaking Association. And during that time I was doing Toastmasters and PSA, I was going out and doing speaking at local networking events, but I was still terrified. People were still saying, no, you've got to do it. So I'm like, okay. And then I was asked to speak at the Association of British Psychologists annual event.
Right, yeah.
And I got there, I was as stressed as I normally was, and I got there the night before, and I got into my bed, and all of a sudden this just sheer wave of panic came over me.
It happens, yeah. So you're not the only ones, people. It happens to us all at times.
And I didn't actually understand that I was having a panic attack. I actually thought I was going mad. I was on the phone to my partner for 3 hours because I just could not calm down. I couldn't keep still. I was trying to sit in the bath to feel contained. And I just literally thought I'd lost the plot. I was having some sort of a nervous breakdown. So from that point, I said, I am not speaking at live events anymore. That is it.
I have a challenge here.
No, I'll never do it. After that experience, no, never. When you get a wake-up call like that, that is a sign that you are completely heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And you have to listen to that.
Yeah.
And it's just as well I did, because that's why I do virtual summits, and that's why they work so well for me, because I'm not faced with a live audience.
Yeah.
There's obviously some patterns going on somewhere at the back of the brain, which are completely unconscious, which I don't have insight into. But my brain is telling me that this is not the thing for me to do. So I have to listen to that.
And that makes sense. And I'm always saying to people that I coach, it's not about turning people into public speakers and standing on, it is about actually delivering online as much, especially these days. A lot of what we do is online. So the virtual summit thing, I think, is a lovely move to say, can you just tell us, what was your background then before you got into the virtual summits thing and you were doing these talks? Did you have a sort of career thing that you talked about, or?
No, I did something completely different. I worked with young people in central London who were at risk for like 20
Oh, wow, right.
Yeah, so something completely different. What's interesting now, though, with the last summit has actually just turned into a community. So that's going to be a community moving forward.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that's where my roots are within youth and community work.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how I'm still doing community work, but in a virtual sense rather than, the face-to-face sense. So
yeah. I think if you follow your passions and follow your heart, certain roads will converge at some point, and you find yourself doing all the things that you love to do in the way that you love to do it.
It's really fascinating. It's like, hey, how, what? That wasn't my intention.
So you talk online now, you do all your summits and things. Do you do webinars, video, all of that?
I very rarely do webinar. I should really do more of them. But
I was just wondering how you found the difference talking online to the offline stuff.
It's very different.
Yeah.
It's a completely different skill set, I think. You still need those skills as a speaker because you need to share your story. You need to understand how to engage your audience. So you need the key skills of the stuff you would do speaking from the stage.
Yeah.
But you're talking, as I'm talking to you now, I'm not actually looking at you, which is very strange, which I don't quite like. I'm actually looking at a camera, which is quite cold.
Yes.
So, and you also have to be much more to the point. So you can't do the whole big story or the 45 minutes piece you would do from the stage. It's slightly different. It's a lot colder.
I think there's also that issue when you have a live audience in front of you, they're very polite, so they won't get up and walk out. You never know webinars where someone's gone off to have their dinner while you're still talking.
And they probably have, to be fair.
But you have to sort of put that aside and just talk to...
Yeah, it's a big ask, isn't it? It's a big ask for somebody to sit down for 45 minutes to listen to you on a webinar.
Absolutely.
And I do have quite a few online courses, and all of those online courses, apart from one, are split down, and the first one wasn't done that way because I didn't know. So they're all split down into 5 and 10 minutes, the videos, the training videos, no more than that.
Absolutely.
Now people turn off.
Yeah, when I do the video stuff, I always say keep it short and sharp, keep the message clear. If you've got lots of messages, have 5 or 6 different videos so people can, absolutely. See, I'm not the only one who says this.
No, not at all. It's
other people do.
I've done it. We all do it. You do an hour.
Yeah.
But then you learn from one of the best places I actually learned from in terms of doing courses was Udemy.
Oh yes, yeah.
I've got a couple of small courses on Udemy, and they sell and they bring me in a passive income. But Udemy is brilliant for learning how to structure an online course or an online talk. Absolutely brilliant.
They are, but so are my people. me. Anyway.
It's
all about me.
But there's a big difference.
There is.
One-to-one support is absolutely invaluable, and it's what I say with the virtual summits. People will go off and do them by themselves, but we're the people at the end of the day that have gone through, made all the mistakes, understand how it works. We bring the whole process together much more quickly. One of my clients is a well-known and experienced marketer, and she's just hosted a virtual summit, and we've worked together. And for her, it was much more about that sounding board. Okay, I've got all these ideas. What's going to work? Yeah, she's an experienced marketer, so. You need to be able to get clarity from an individual, not a robot or some, course online that doesn't have that level of engagement.
Absolutely. And I think it's also a good message in there is about being very clear about what your expertise is.
Yeah.
So, for me, delivery, all of that stuff is my expertise, that I go to everybody else for marketing and stuff like that, because that's not mine. So remember that when I say to you, get clear on your message, people, that's what we're talking about. So what advice would you give to women in business who need to use their voice to spread the message, and not necessarily on a stage in front of a crowd of people?
I would say have a look at live streaming, and it's something that I'm trying to do, but I'm not very good at doing it, if I'm fair. I'm not one of those people that's into small talk, so I don't have a lot of small conversations.
I think live streaming has a place, but I think you have to know where that place is for live streaming.
Yeah, but I think live streaming is a good starting point because it's so in the moment. It's very raw. You don't have to do what I did. You would have laughed, everybody, if you
just cleaning her office.
I basically had to throw things up the side, set the lights.
Yeah. I should have put record on earlier. It was hysterical to watch.
But live streaming, it's raw, it's in the moment. It is one way to connect with your online audience very quickly, and just practice. You've just got to practice. And trust me, your stuff at the beginning is going to be absolutely pants, but you just become more confident. You get more in the flow. Start to learn more about, okay, that video is really rubbish, or that the way I came across was really rubbish. You up your game each time you do it.
Yeah.
My first virtual summit, even though it attracted a lot of people, it wasn't perfect.
No.
God, no. I mean, this is the best summit I've ever done by far, but the first one was terrible. People were complaining about the sound, complaining about all sorts of things. But, I just ignored it and just developed as I was going along, because that's what people like to see.
I think for me, sometimes I compare it to back in the day when answer machines first started. We're all going, I don't talk to machines. Now, none of us would blink an eyelid at leaving a message on a machine. And that's because we had to, and we just had to keep doing it. So preparation, practice, keep going. And don't be perfect. Just, you have to do it.
And live streaming is not going away. It is
going to get bigger.
The biggest thing that's coming, I think, because it's just that instant connection. Business owners, it's amazing. It's free, and
a lot of this stuff is this free. Even Zoom here for interviewing is free. So do that. I
love Zoom.
For interviews, I found it's the easiest way and takes less editing.
Yeah,
the other way it's run. So I'm a Zoom fan. So thank you for that. Now, can you just tell the lovely listeners, and there's going to be loads of them, exactly how they can get hold of you and find out, more about where you are?
Yep, the best place to find me. Oh, it's an interesting one because the virtual space, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
So, LinkedIn is actually a good one under the name of Wendy Keir, because that's an easy place to find me.
Okay.
I have a few websites. So there is Get Clients Online, which is a domain I've had for a number of years, and that's where the original business started from online. And then there's virtualsummits.co.uk, which is the different training platforms. Or you can look me out on Facebook.
Well, I shall put some links on the end of this so that you need to. And Wendy is on Facebook all over the place. That's because I follow her a lot. I'm like a stalker.
Hey, I like stalkers.
Yeah, virtual stalkers.
Stalkers are good.
Yes. Well, make them your fans.
You're lovely, so you're okay. I haven't had to block you yet.
Not yet. I'll keep it friendly. So thank you ever so much, Wendy, for talking to us today. Nice, short and sharp, but it's lovely information for people that they can really listen to. So thank you, and you have a great day. Okay?
Thanks very much for your time, everybody. And get out there, practice, speak to Bev, find out what is the best thing for you moving forward. So just connect with Bev, ask her, find out, have a chat where you are now, and the next steps that you need to do. This is the thing, when we're doing it ourselves, we often can't see things that other people can see, and what the natural next step should be.
Yeah.
So just seriously, don't do it alone. Reach out and get the support that you need.
Great. Thank you, Wendy.